Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome, my dear students in grade 9 and our students abroad. Today, inshallah, I will introduce to you a session about poetry. It will be about the poem Blow, Blow by William Shakespeare. Let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. William Shakespeare, he was one of the greatest dramatists in the English literature. He wrote a lot of plays, poems, and essays. He was born in 1564 and died in 1616. His plays are translated into many languages. That was an introduction about the poet William Shakespeare, the greatest writer in the English literature. أعظم كاتب في تاريخ الأدب الإنجليزي. Introduction and background. This poem is a song taken from Shakespeare's play As You Like It. كانت عبارة عن أغنية أخذت من مسرحية As You Like It. In this play, the lawful duke ده كان منصب من المناصب في الإنجليز عند الإنجليز بمعنى زي حاكم. The lawful duke was driven out, نفي أو طرد, out of his kingdom with some of his faithful followers. One day, while they were all having a meal, Amiens, one of the duke's followers, sang that song, which shows the bitter feeling of the duke and all his followers against evil. كانت تبين الشعور بالمرارة من هذا الذوق وأتباعه تجاه الشر, wickedness and ungratefulness وعدم العرفان بالجميل. The main idea of the poem, الفكرة الرئيسية في القصيدة, the poet said that however painful and harmful the weather conditions were, they are so kind if compared to the ungratefulness of the people near and dear to us. The thanklessness of a brother or a close friend is more painful than the bitterness of bad weather or rough conditions. The thanklessness يعني عدم الشكر من الأخ أو الصديق المقرب قد يكون أشد إيلاما ومرارة من الطقس السيء بأحواله السيئة. The wind, the rain, the bitter cold are smaller evils if compared to the greater illness in the heart caused by a brother or relative. Let's see the first stanza. Of course, the stanza was written in the old language of Shakespeare or that time. كتبت باللغة القديمة لشكسبير, وهذه اللغة لا تستخدم الآن. بعض الكلمات لا تستخدم مثل كلمة thou, art, dust. هذه الكلمات لا توجد في اللغة الإنجليزية الآن, ولكن استبدلت بكلمات thou, dust, does وهكذا. Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art no so unkind, as man's ingratitude, thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hey-ho, sing hey-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is fiending, most loving mere folly, then hey-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. Now let's see the meaning of these. Some you may see that some words are very strange to you, so this table will make them clear, inshallah. Blow, become harder. Ingratitude, thanklessness, ungratefulness. Tooth, harm, bite. Breath, wind. rude, rough, biting, painful. Hey-ho, expression of joy. Green holly, the green wood. Mere, just, or only. This life, life in the forest. Thou, you. As you see, this is the old language. Thou means you. Art means are. Unkind, cruel. Thy means your. Keen means sharp. Not seen, invisible. Feeling, false. Folly, foolishness. Jolly, pleasant. I want you to study this vocabulary carefully, my dear student. Paraphrase the first stanza. I want you to keep this paraphrase very well. In the first stanza, the poet asks the wind to blow hard. He said that the cold and strong wind is much kinder than ungrateful friend. He added sorrowfully that a very rough wind could not hurt as much as the rudeness of mankind. كما ترون أبنائي الطلاب إن هو إحساس بالمرارة من واحد ظلم من أخيه أو طرد من أخيه، وبيعبر عن هذه المرارة وهذا الإحساس بالظلم وهذا الإحساس بعدم الإعفان بالجميل، وكأن برودة الشتاء وقساوة الطقس قد تكون أكثر رحمة من هذا الإحساس بالمرارة الذي شافوا من عدم الشكر والعرفان بالجميل. More explanation, extra explanation of stanza 1. The poet asks the wind to blow hard. He says that the cold, strong, biting wind is much kinder than ungrateful friends. He said that most friendship is false. نجد أنه هنا بيرى أن الصداقة شيء غير حقيقي and deceiving وخادعة and loving is just foolishness والحب شيء غير مجدي. The poet invites people to come back to nature where life is so simple ويدعوهم للعودة إلى الطبيعة حيث الحياة بسيطة and pleasant. There is nothing to worry about or fight for. ليس هناك شيء يتشاجر من أجله لأن هناك الحياة والطبيعة سهلة جدا. Second stanza. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh, as benefits forgot, though thou the waters warp. Thy sting is not so sharp, as friend remembered not. Hey-ho, sing hey-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feeling, most loving mere folly. Then hey-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. This is the second stanza, and as you see, it was also written in the old language of Shakespeare. It was called Shakespearean language. The meaning of the words freeze become icy, cold, bitter, sharp, painful, dust, does, folly, foolishness, jolly, pleasant, so nigh, so close, benefits, good deeds, warp, change the form of water, sting, snakes, bite. Now let's see the paraphrase of the first stanza. In the second stanza, he asks the winter cold wind to freeze the water and تجمد الماء. الرياح يا رياح جمدي الماء. But although the freezing winter water is shocking, it's less painful than a thankless friend who forgets friendship. لكنها أشد رحمة أو قد تكون أكثر رحمة من الصديق الغير معترف بالجميل. The behavior of a false friend could have a greater effect on man's spirits than the cold weather that could change water into ice. The poet invites people to come back to nature where life is so simple and pleasant. وأيضا في نهاية المقطع الثاني يدعو الناس للعودة إلى الطبيعة كما كان في المقطع الأول or in the first stanza. Extra explanation of the stanza. تلاحظوا يا أبناء الطلاب إن أنا بكرر الشرح عشان أثبت المعلومة في أذهانكم. The poet asks the cold winter to freeze the water. He said that although the freezing winter water is so biting, it is less painful than a thankless friend who forgets friendship. He said that most friendship is false and deceiving, and loving is just foolishness. The poet invites people to come back to nature where life is so simple and pleasant. Here we will see the figures of speech or the personification in that poem. We see that commentary, the last 4 lines of each stanza are the same. أول ملحوظة إن 4 آخر أسطر من first stanza and the second stanza are the same because it's of course a song. The rhyme and the repetition of the lines give music to the poem. The poem is originally a song. There is a personification, تشخيص. The poet speaks to the wind, asking it to blow and then to freeze. الشاعر كان بيطلب من الرياح أن تهب وبعد ذلك تجمد الماء. Personification also in thy tooth is not so keen because thou art not seen. And although thy breath be rude, referring to the frosty bite of winter, which is incomparable with the deeds of the betrayal friend, الصديق الخائن. Alteration الترديد, hey who, is meant as a way of saying, oh well, let's go on with it, to show the poetic voice moving on despite the pain he has suffered from. سوف يواصل حياته رغم ما عاناه أو ما لقاه من آلام. There is also a comparison between the wind and a man. مقارنة ما بين الرياح والإنسان. Man's ingratitude and unfaithfulness are more bitter and more cruel than the wind. These lines are very important لأنها بتلخص القصيدة. There is a comparison between the wind and man. Man's ingratitude and unfaithfulness are more bitter and more cruel than the wind. أشد قساوة ومرارة من الرياح. The theme and the rhyme scheme of the poem. The theme, the power of human relationships and bitterness of betrayal. Also, nature is being used to convey a message about human emotions and impact of our relations and friendship. The rhyming scheme in that poem, it's the same in the first and the second stanza. A, B, C, B, D, 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 and it's also the same in the second stanza. وبكده أبناء الطلاب نكون خلصنا and we have finished explaining the poem of the second term for grade 9 prep 3. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Till we meet again, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you and goodbye.